What up, Spillin Nation? I just wanted to actually get into reviewing. I haven't reviewed a game or even talked about a game that I played in a long time, so I wanted to kind of dive into a series of doing this and giving it my all and see what kind of feedback I get from you guys, because you guys have been asking for reviews, for me to start reviewing games. I've been asking for tons of other things, so I said, well, let me go ahead and put this in here and start incorporating this right along with all the other videos that I do on a regular basis. The first game that I wanted to actually get into and give a review is Rogue Galaxy, which I actually just completed probably a little bit over a few weeks ago, probably about 2-3 weeks ago. I put the game down after completing. I probably put in 100 plus hours at least. I think almost 110 hours when I was done. The game is basically centralized around the lead character, which is Jaster Rogue, and he's one of these guys that always had a dream to explore the galaxy and just view everything from different planets. He wanted to get outside of that. He starts out in this planet called Rosa, and how everything just kind of spins off for him, it is really by coincidence that he actually meets this character by the name of Desert Claw. Desert Claw is kind of like this badass guy who he's known around the galaxy as one of those guys that you basically don't want to go up against. So as the opening credits start to go, you see him come to this planet. He's thinking about leaving Rosa, which is his home planet. It's pretty much all he knows at this point in his life. They never gave a definition of, or they never defined his age or anything like that of that sort, but you could tell that he was a young guy. He looked like he may have been in his late teens or his early 20s or something like that. But it's really interesting because his first battle is with Desert Claw, not against him or anything like that, but it's more on they're fighting enemies or bosses and stuff like that. So in the midst of that, they end up defeating the guy and stuff like that. Now two other pirates, their ship pulls up to Rosa. They're looking for Desert Claw at this moment. So while this is happening, these guys come in and they're actually looking for Desert Claw. He hands Jaster his sword, and he tells the two guys that that's Desert Claw. They've never seen him. It's just more like a myth or something that people talked about in theory, but they never actually seen his face, because he kept himself wrapped up in all these types of clothing and everything, and so it was kind of crazy. But anyway, so that's how the story begins. He basically jumps ship. He actually gets on the ship with these pirates. They're thinking he's Desert Claw, so it basically takes him on his long journey, and before you know it, he begins to unravel all these mysteries about the galaxy, going to different planets. There's like, I think it was a total of 6 planets I ended up going to, and it was an open world RP or JRPG, which was really interesting. The developers were Level 5, same creators for Ni no Kuni, one of my other favorite JRPGs. So you get to meet all these interesting characters along the way. A young girl by the name of Kessla, she's a part of it. A guy that basically takes on the fatherly role, which is the head pirate of the ship. Then you meet like Zegrum, who basically turns out to be a backstabber. He was using Jaster and all the other pirates on the ship just to get to Eden, which is basically the destination that they're trying to get to. So you also meet a few other robots, one named Steve, and then the other, I think his name is Lucas or something like that. But anyway, you meet another character by the name of Zigo, or Diago. I'm saying Diago. And then you also meet Lalika, I think her name was, and she's in this jungle forest. So basically there's like a collection of 8 characters who take this journey together. You basically go through all these planets. You're trying to unlock the power of Eden, or you're trying to unlock the city of Eden and stuff like that. And you discover all these other things about him that he didn't even know. Like, he finds out who his real parents are. He finds out the mystery of his ancestors. There's a power that's locked deep within him. It kind of reminds me of trying to think the name of it. But basically, once he begins to discover his power, he can unlock his ancestors' power inside of him, and he ignites on fire. He becomes like this powerful force, and he eventually finds the planet of Eden, and comes to find out that there are riches and stuff like that, but there's more that they're trying to uncover. The big goal becomes saving the galaxy from destruction from this, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I played the game. But I think ultimately, just to stay focused at hand, the game itself, just to get into gameplay, the gameplay is really fun. The battle system is perfect. It's an action RPG. So the really cool thing, because I played action RPGs before, and you kind of do like a circle. Well, this one is a little bit more open. So you're allowed to just run around like the whole entire area, and when you use your weapon up too much, you have to recharge it. It gives you just probably about 5-10 second delay, and then your weapon charges up. What I really liked was the XP. It was easy to level up. I believe I leveled my character up to almost a level 60 or something like that. And then at the same time, you had rankings to rank yourself up to be able to battle like hidden monsters or hidden enemies that were, you'll see like a big question mark that would appear out of nowhere, and then you have to go to that question mark, and then you have to basically solve the riddle and use whatever item that you had in your inventory, and then it would bring forth that battle. But yeah, the combat was good, the gameplay was good. Some of the complaints that I had was some of the chapters were really long, like the towers. The towers actually threw me off at one point, and it got to a point where I almost lost interest in the game, because you had to go through Tower 1 completely and then Tower 2. And I was already told well ahead of time that it's going to take like 10 hours just to do that part alone. And then another thing that I didn't like about the game is that there wasn't a lot of clues. You had to pay real close attention. Everything was pinpointed towards clues. So once you found one of the clues, it would cut to a cinematic movie type moment where the screen would close in, and you knew you found something important. It would lead you or guide you and say, hey, now you need to travel to this planet, or now you need to travel to this planet, and you need to go there to pick up this. And so there was challenges with some of the bosses, because you had to learn how to attack them. Some of the enemies were really big, so you would have to hit them high up. You couldn't just hit them down low, it would just block. Or some had shields, and the only way you could break through it is actually doing like a complete 360 sword hit and stuff like that. So I found some of the parts challenging, but overall the gameplay, the combat, the storyline was awesome. You come to find out who his mom was. She was like this spiritual entity that resided over this town. You found out who his real father was, and it played a significant role. Everything seemed to tie together. You got to see all the characters, their storylines, they were all wrapped up. They did a really, really awesome job. I liked the story, I liked the writing, I liked the combat, I liked the controls. It was just little things that I complained about here and there, trying to uncover all the battles, all the secret hidden enemies and stuff like that, and ranking up. Ranking up was one thing that was really challenging. Like, you had your level up with your XP, but then you had your ranking up across the galaxy, and it was 1 through 100. You needed to get to number 1. In order to do that, you had to beat a certain amount of enemies. Like if I saw a certain plant boss, I had to beat 25 of those, and what would happen is that you would accumulate certain points for those as well. So you would get like 1,000 or 1,200 points, and every time you got points, it would move you up a level. You would unlock different treasures and stuff like that. So that part of it was challenging, because each level had a number of enemies, but sometimes you would have to go back, rebattle, try to get that certain amount of enemies so that you could go ahead and unlock the next thing. So there was a lot of grinding, a lot of work, but overall the story was awesome. I found myself yelling with excitement every time I discovered a new power that he had locked within him. And the characters were really brilliant. I liked the writing. Each character tied in really well. So yeah, overall, I love the game. I would have to say it's probably my favorite JRPG now. I missed the game. I almost wanted to go back, play the game again, and go through it all again. Tell me what you think. And by the way, I definitely would recommend this game. By all means, you should go pick it up. It's only $10. But other than that, I'm SPILLIN 79. Tell me how your life is as a gamer, and I'm out.